Now we take up other important chapter called motion in two dimension, or which we call it as projectile motion. See, it's a very simple concept, this projectile motion, or what we call it as a motion in two dimension. See, projectile means, suppose you are throwing a body from here, from this point, and what this body does is when you throw this body, it will trace this kind of path. Just like you are throwing a cricket ball from the boundary, and that cricket ball from the boundary, when you throw it, look, it moves like this, and finally it reaches the wicket. Or else, let's say a batsman is hitting a sixer. When he hits a sixer, look, it goes like this. This kind of path is called as a parabolic path, and this body we call it as a projectile. So this is a projectile. The body is called projectile. This kind of path we call it as a parabola. So if a question is asked, and what is the path of a projectile? It's parabola. If you ask me, sir, what's the meaning of the projectile? Projectile is a body, and it is thrown with a definite angle, definite velocity, and it has a definite angle. See, as it moves like this, you know that it's a gravity that pulls like this. Therefore, when it moves here at this point, its velocity is equal to 0. This is called ascent. From here it is a descent, its velocity increases and it reaches here. And this particular distance we call it as a range. Since it is in the horizontal direction, we call it as a horizontal range. Look, this is the maximum height attained by the projectile. We call it as an h. You know why this principle is required for you to study in the PUC? It's just like, it's a missile technology. Whatever the missile that you are launching here, it will reach the enemy's country. Like for India, it's like a Pakistan. So you are throwing, you are launching a missile. That missile moves like this, and it should reach the target in a very shortest intervals of time, and this time we call it as a time of flight. And here to here what the time is there, this time is called time of ascent, and here to here it is called time of descent. And this total time is called as a time of flight, and which is nothing but TA plus TD, both are same. That's very important. See this equation of parabola, that's given by y is equal to ax minus square is an equation to a parabola. This is parabola. Remember, parabolic path traced by the projectile. This projectile is moving under the influence of gravity. Remember, that's why it will not go and it will come to the earth. And if you ask me, sir, I have projected a body here. Suppose if it goes there, then it will come back. Can you tell me what's the distance? So look, we resolve it into two components as u cos theta and other is u sin theta. See, if you want to calculate the distance, what's the formula? Your velocity is equal to time taken to here is that's equal to t. And more important formula. Then, if you ask me, expression for the height, see that expression for the maximum height attained is 2 u square sin square theta divided by 2g. Very important it is. Just use the formula v square minus u square is equal to 2gh. You'll get this value. U square sin square theta, u square sin square theta divided by 2g is an expression for the height attained. It's the maximum height attained. If you ask me what's the total time taken, that we call it as a time of flight. So that time of flight is the total time taken by the projectile to reach the ground, and that's equal to, just now I said it is TA plus TD. And look, it is equal to time of ascent is same as the time of descent, therefore we write it as TA is equal to TD. Remember, always this time of ascent is equal to time of descent. And therefore this is equal to u sin theta by g is an expression for time of ascent, therefore the time of flight is this much. Very important. If the time of ascent is 5 seconds, time of descent is also 5 seconds. 5 seconds plus 5 seconds is 10 seconds is called time of flight. If you ask me what's an expression for the horizontal range, the expression for the horizontal range is very simple. It is u square by g into sine of 2 theta. It's very important. It is sine 2 theta. If you ask me, sir, what is the maximum range? Look, for the range to be maximum, remember, the sine 2 theta should be equal to 1. Then you know that your 2 theta is equal to 90 degree, therefore theta is equal to 45 degree. That means for range to be maximum, the angle of projection should be 45 degree. And if it is projected with an angle of 45 degree, then only it will reach the maximum range. Look, that's why cricket player, when he is at the boundary, to reach the ball to the wicket exactly, he will not throw like this. He will not throw to the sky. Look, he throws at 45 degree. And in the wars, you will see that when they are launching the rocket will not be launched in this 90 degree. It will fall there only. And they launch at 45 degree. See, these are all the things which you can see practically. It will not know. Thereby you can understand the physics. And then your expression for the maximum range is R max. Very important for CET. Sine 2 theta is equal to 1. Therefore your is u square by g. That's all. Very important. These are the important things that you must remember in the projectile motion. Then you come for the centripetal force. Look, for any body, uniform circular motion and the centripetal force. Look, for any body to be in a circular path, centripetal force is essential. Look here, suppose if you are moving in a circle, you are moving in a cycle with a velocity v. For if you want to be in a circle, so you will move with a velocity v. So like that, always your velocity and this resulting acceleration is diverted towards the center, and it is called centripetal acceleration. The expression for centripetal acceleration is v square by r. This is one of the formula. Remember, since v is equal to r omega, you can also write as a r omega square by r, and that's equal to r omega square is another expression. Therefore, there is a force that is directed towards the center, and it is called centripetal force, and which is m into a, we write it is equal to m v squared by r. Look, very important expression for the centripetal force. That is, for if you want to be in a circular path, centripetal force is essential. Another formula for this is equal to mr omega square. Just now I have written there. So for any body to be in a circular path, centripetal force is essential. That's why, when you are going by a cycle, negotiating a curve, you will always lean. Look, why you will lean? Because you require centripetal force. See, it's very important thing. These are all practically the things which you can see regarding the centripetal force. Then equal to the centripetal force, there is a reaction that's called centrifugal reaction, and centripetal force is directed towards the center. Centrifugal reaction is equal to centripetal force acting in the opposite direction, and it is called centrifugal reaction. It's in accordance with the Newton's third law, is same as a centripetal force but acting in opposite direction. And its formula is also the same, but we write a minus sign. See, look, when Earth is revolving around the Sun gives a centripetal force, but Earth gives a centripetal reaction. Thereby this Newton's third law is hold good even for celestial bodies also. So not only for the terrestrial bodies, it's an important concept of centripetal force. See, now we come to the centrifugal force. See, this centrifugal force arises when a body is in the rotating motion. Like, see, when you are moving in a bus, and your bus is negotiating a curve, you will feel that you are thrown out. And that force is called as a centrifugal force. Same bus, when it is coming here, when it is negotiating a curve, so you will see that you will be thrown out, and this force is called centrifugal force. Centrifugal force is due to only the rotational motion of the body, and it is directed away from the center. It is due to the inertia of the body. Remember, it is due to inertia of rotating body. These are very important point. Inertia of rotating body. But it is directed away. Is directed away. And therefore, expression for your centrifugal force is minus of mv square by r, or it is equal to minus of mr omega square. You know where this principle is used? In the separation of the cream from the milk. Look, here is a churner. You may have seen in the churner which you are using to separate the butter from the buttermilk. What you are doing? You are rotating the churner with a greater speed. What happens? You know that your curd is a mixture of buttermilk. Your curd is a mixture of buttermilk and the liquid buttermilk and the later butter. It so happens that your liquid has a higher mass. It would experience more force, and therefore it moves away. Moves away means the liquid settles at the bottom. Butter which is lighter, its mass is less, it would experience less force, and therefore it will settle at the top. That's why look, your butter, the butter floats on the buttermilk. So in the same, cream separation is also the same. The milk that you are going to drink, it's not a completely, some of the fat is removed, some of the cream is removed. How you know? We take a centrifuge, and in the centrifuge, the whole milk in a greater speed, which is lighter, would experience less force to the top, whereas the skimmed milk will be at the bottom. Its mass is more, and it will experience more force, and it is thrown. Same kind of principle is used in the drying machine, centrifugal drying machine. These are all the important applications of the centrifugal force. In addition to that, look here. Suppose you have a bucket containing water. Here is a bucket containing water. So what you do is, if you rotate that bucket with a lower speed, you know that water spills out. Water will come down. For if you want to make water in a circular path, you should rotate with a greater speed. Then what happens? When you rotate with a greater speed, centrifugal force acts in a direction opposite to that, mv squared by r. And the weight will be pulling it in the downward direction. See, it so happens that when you rotate with a lesser speed, centrifugal force is less, this weight is more, it will come down. When you rotate with greater speed, centrifugal force is also more. Therefore, when this mg become equal to exactly mv squared by r, mg is equal to mv squared by r, then this water will not spill out. Actually, it will be in the weightlessness condition. See, under this condition, you cancel your m, and what you are getting is your v square is equal to rg, and your v is equal to root of rg. Remember, it's a very, very important formula. Same kind of formula. You will see that even in the gravitation also. Now we come to the vectors, the scalars and vectors. And in that scalar and vectors, very important product is what is known as a dot product, or we call it as a scalar product. Scalar product, or it is a dot product. And another one is what is known as a cross product, which we also call it as a vector product. So dot product and the cross product. You must have the knowledge of that. In the dot product, your A dot B is equal to AB cos theta. And in the cross product, it is A cross B is equal to AB sin theta with n cap. AB sin theta with n cap. And you know that it is a vector, it's a vector, but resultant thing is a scalar, hence it is called as a scalar product. Here it is a vector, B is a vector, resultant thing is also a vector, hence it is called as a vector product. Remember, when theta is equal to 0, cos 0 is equal to 1, your A dot B is equal to AB, and it is maximum. So the dot product is going to be maximum when the angle theta is 0. When the angle theta is 0 means, remember, two vectors must be parallel. These are the things you have to remember, my dear students. Don't simply mug up the things. And in this cross product, look here, when theta is equal to 0, sin 0 is equal to 0, and therefore your cross product A cross B is equal to 0. Therefore, when two vectors are parallel, cross product is 0, dot product is maximum. Come to this one. When theta is equal to 90, when two vectors are perpendicular to each other, A and B, when they are perpendicular to each other, sin the cos 90 is equal to 0. You know that the cos 90 is 0. Therefore, your A dot B is equal to 0. And if you come to this point here, you know that when theta is equal to 90, your sin 90 is equal to 1. Therefore, A cross B is equal to AB with n cap, that is maximum. Always remember an example for this. For this example is a work done. Your work done is equal to F dot S. Both are vectors, but so your Fs cos theta is a formula, work is a scalar. In this case, torque is given by, you know that it is equal to F cross R, and therefore it is equal to Fr sin theta with n cap. So this is an example for the cross product. Say, now we come to this vector addition and equilibrium condition of a body. You know, law of if you have two forces, here is a body, and on this body be in this direction. That is, here is a boat, a person is pulling in this direction. Another person is pulling it in this direction. Let angle between them is equal to some 60 degree, let us say. So that means this boat has been pulled by the two person. If you ask me, sir, whether the boat moves in this direction or in this direction, then what we can do, you know, we can calculate it by completing this parallelogram. And then you draw the hypotenuse. See, this hypotenuse will give you the resultant. Hypotenuse will give you the resultant. Then, this law wherein your resultant is represented by this hypotenuse, or this is a diagonal. This is a diagonal which represents the resultant of these two forces. Therefore, the statement is, if two forces acting at a point are represented by the two sides, then the diagonal represents the resultant force. Your expression for the resultant force is, your R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. Remember, very, very important it is. Very important. And if you ask me, in what direction the boat moves, that's alpha. Therefore, you can write tan alpha is equal to Q sin theta divided by P plus Q cos theta. Very important. You'll get question on this. You know, illustrations for this one. If the two persons, you may have seen that at the bank of the river, the boat has been pulled not by one person, but will be 2 to 3 persons. Boat neither moves in this direction nor in you may be knowing that two persons are pulling in this direction, other two in this, then the boat moves in this resultant direction. That resultant depends on the P and Q and also the angle between them. You can think a lot about this one. It's very, very important for you, my dear student. Very important. You stress on this one. And the first illustration for this is towing the boat is an example for this. Towing a boat. Even pelting a stone using the catapult. So using the catapult, if you are throwing the stone, you must be knowing that this is a catapult. When you are pelting a stone using this catapult, you will put the stone here. Stone moves in this direction. That's the resultant. And the soaring of the bird, you may have seen the bird while flying. Its wings are is placed like this. That is P and Q, and therefore the bird moves in the resultant direction. So soaring of a bird. These are very, very, very important of the illustrations for the law of parallelogram of forces. Then you look at these angles when theta is 0, cos 0 is 1. Very important thing it is, my dear students. When theta is 0, cos 0 is equal to 1. Then you know what is your resultant is given by a square plus b square plus 2ab means your resultant is given by square root of, that is a plus b whole square. A plus b whole square or p plus q whole square here. P plus q whole square. That comes out to be equal to p plus q. Very important. That is when two forces are parallel, P and Q. You think in detail about these things. Don't be contented only with the just the synopsis and all. You think. That is CET, my dear students. When you put theta is equal to 90, you have seen that your cos of 180 is equal to minus 1. Then the same expression get reduced to P difference Q or P minus Q. That means if you have a body, P pulls in this direction, Q pulls in this direction. What's the resultant? P difference Q. Whichever the thing is greater, you take it first. So this is the case 1. This is case 2. Look at the case 3. When theta is 90, cos 90 is equal to 0. When cos 90 is equal to 0, the whole term vanishes. Therefore, what is the value of your resultant? R is equal to square root of just p square plus q square, which we call it as a resolution of vectors. Very important it is. Then in this condition you think of if p is equal to q, what happens? Your r is equal to p square plus p square, that's equal to 2p square. And what you are getting is root 2 into p, my dear students. Very important questions you will come across. Okay. Then after this, you come for your Lami's theorem, law of triangular forces and all. You know that in the law of triangular forces, which talks about the equilibrium. If you ask me what is an equilibrium, what's an equilibrium, look here. In the same thing, if a P pulls in this direction, Q pulls in this direction, body moves in the resultant direction. This is the resultant, we call it as. It's very simple logic. Here is a boat. This person pulls in this person, then the boat moves in the resultant direction, let us say, with a force of 10 Newton. You are a person standing in water. You want to keep this boat at rest, what you will do, you know? You will apply the same amount of force in the opposite direction. You will apply the same amount of force, R dash, in the opposite direction. Then this R dash is called equilibriant. Your R is called resultant and R dash is called equilibriant. What is that equilibriant? Equilibriant is a one which keeps the body in equilibrium condition. Therefore we write your R dash is equal to minus R. So your R is 10 Newton, then R dash is equal to minus 10 Newton. It is very important, my dear students. Theorem. You know that according to the Lami's theorem talks about the equilibrium condition of a body. Suppose if you have three forces, P, Q and R. So here is a P acting in this direction. Here is a Q and if here is an R. So angle between, look here. So it is P, Q, R are the three forces acting between, and P, angle between this Q and R is equal to alpha. Angle between this P and R is equal to beta. Angle between this is equal to gamma. What this law says, you know, each force is proportional to, therefore, your P proportional to sine of alpha, Q proportional to sine of beta, R proportional to sine of alpha, which we rated as P by sine alpha is equal to Q by sine beta is equal to R by sine gamma. This is called as a Lami's theorem. Very, very important.